Coach Belichick, your team just got destroyed in your first game as a college head coach. Do you have any responses? Welcome to the second episode of the DQ Football Frenzy. It is season 2, episode 2, right before the first week. Check out our last episode for our predictions and all of that. But we are here. I'm your host, Quinn Schmiedel, along with your co-host, Dylan Shields, also Bill Belichick, who's joining us for a special appearance today.
Hi, Quinn. How you doing?
Hi, Coach Belichick. You know, I gotta say, one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Not on Monday.
Well, I didn't see it, so it didn't happen. But don't worry, we'll be talking about college football
Oh, all
later.
right. I'm here. Sorry, I was late. I don't know what the
Good.
hell
All right.
Coach Belichick was doing on my desk. Oh, that's kind of creepy, man. Go back to your 20-year-old girlfriend, please.
Anyway, like I said, we will cover some college football, but first we have some other news to attend to. First of all, Micah Parsons getting traded. I made a little video. Unfortunately, it was like right after we recorded, so we didn't get to do it in the show. But there's a few more details on that. Just a reminder: the Cowboys got 2 first-round picks, one in 2026, one in 2027. They got Kenny Clark, who is a Pro Bowler, very talented Green Bay player, great at stopping the run. So apparently, the Cowboys wouldn't do the trade unless they got Kenny Clark. Believe what you will, because do we trust the coaches there? Um, anyway, he got $188 million with 120 of it guaranteed, 136 with a minimum guarantee kind of thing. So a lot of money, highest non QB in history of the NFL. I mean, absolutely crazy. And he might not even play week 1 due to his injury, the back sprain. So we'll have to see. It's crazy. Dylan, we never really got your reaction to it. We got mine. But what are your thoughts on the matter?
Well, you kind of did. If you saw the video, I kind of edited it and I did a little last minute thing where I reacted to it very quickly just to add
That's
that
true.
in because I got your reaction. But it was kind of quick. But basically, what I said in that video, and I'll rehash it again, was that Jerry Jones is the gift that keeps on giving. He always is, and he always will. And I don't know what the heck he's doing making this move. He said, like, oh, we got better because of this. And he's like, oh, we have to stop the run. Oh, yeah, because trading away one of the best edge rushers in football will help you stop the run so much better. Kenny Clark's a good player, but I think he had his weakest season last year. He's kind of declining a little bit.
Getting old.
It makes no sense at all. And Micah's not old at all. He's like what, 27? So
Yeah.
and you trade him to a rival that's owned you in the playoffs and that you're going to see in less than a month on Sunday Night Football. And you know Micah's going to be hyped to play that game. So yeah, just 0 sense. I've heard a lot of people, and I still don't even agree with this. They said the only way this makes sense is if they trade Dak. But then it's like, then why did you extend him last year if you're going to trade him after this year? So all of it makes no sense. None of it makes sense at all. But Green Bay, I mean, their defense just elevated from that. Their secondary might still have some woes, but maybe the pass rush will make up for it. And you mentioned the injury. I think it's like a back sprain. He may need like an epidural ejection if he wants to play. So I guess that's up to him if he'll risk it against a pretty good Lions team. But I mean, he'll be active for most of the season. It's just 1 week. If he misses, it's not a big deal. As long as he's active for that Dallas game, that's all he cares about. But Cowboys are going to cowboy.
Yeah, classic. Gotta say, I love to see it. It's phenomenal. Anyway, we also have some other news, not quite as exciting, but if you didn't hear back in March of 24, Rashee Rice was involved in a multi-car high-speed crash in Dallas. So he's been suspended 6 games for that. Um, what's interesting is the fact that these games were probably the worst games that he could miss for the Chiefs, including the
Mhm.
Chargers, the Eagles, Giants, Ravens, Jags, and Lions. So definitely some tough games in there. Chargers, always a rival. They always play well. And of course, the Eagles, Ravens, and Lions are going to be tough games. The rest of their season after that, the second 6 games isn't as hard. It would be a little nicer if Chiefs if you miss those, but well, it's not about being nice to the Chiefs. Rice messed up, and so he's getting his dues. But rough for the Chiefs. I mean, it's nice that he's not suspended all season or longer, but it's still pretty rough. Dylan, thoughts?
Did you really think he was going to be? I mean, this is the same NFL that only suspended Ray Rice 4 games and Deshaun 11 games. They ain't going to suspend Rice that much longer. And yeah, their schedule is pretty brutal in the beginning of the year. I think at least he'll be active. Their probably toughest game when he'll be back is Buffalo, week 9. And they got a couple of games at the end of the year, like Denver on Christmas Day. Like, besides the Raiders, and even then, who knows if the Raiders might be better than we think. Their whole division's not going to be easy games. Like, they should be winnable. They seem to always own the Chargers and Raiders. Denver, it's a little different. Denver is pretty close.
Almost beat him
They
last year with Bo
they beat them
Nix in
last
Arrowhead.
year. Yeah, they honestly they should have if it wasn't for the
It was
block
that
kick.
yeah.
But it's a huge loss, but also they'll find a way to bounce back. It's the Chiefs. If it was any other team, I think we'd be panicking even more. But because it's Patrick Mahomes, so what? They'll make some receiver from 7-Eleven relevant. It reminded me of the Brady dynasty where receivers out of nowhere like Julian Edelman, who's like a legend now, but he came out of nowhere, does good. So they could pick pieces. Andy Reid's a master of that. I think Xavier Worthy had some like legal issues too, but luckily I think he avoided any legal trouble. So that would have been trouble too if you lost him, because who the heck else do you have left? Juju, that's it. If Xavier would have been suspended and older Kelsey. But yeah, for fantasy owners, for people who wanted Rice, it sucks. But for the Chiefs, who cares? It's the Chiefs.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on, we also have the news that Matthew Stafford will be playing week 1 after not playing since last season. So, as good as it is, it almost seems like, oh, great, he'll have week 1 to warm up for week 2, or however many weeks until he gets back in the groove. I
And they're
mean,
playing a
imagine,
tough Houston defense too.
yeah, so it's a bit of a rough way to toss him in, especially he's not the youngest he's been. If he has had these back issues, he's healthy enough to play, but it's probably not going to be great for him. But better to start him sooner rather than later, I suppose. But yeah, exciting, interesting, but nothing too groundbreaking, Dylan.
No, I think it's just like they're still monitoring it. Like I don't think he's 100%, but he's still like good to go. But if any of those Houston defenders put him on his back pretty good, that smells trouble, and we might have to see the Jimmy Jesus himself come in and be the hero. And which honestly, you can have worse as a backup. But I
Yeah,
mean, I hate to say the success of the Rams depends on him, but it kind of
it
does. It
does.
depends on if he's healthy, because just Stafford and Garoppolo are completely different quarterbacks. Jimmy plays it safe. He kind of dinks and dunks and doesn't go for the. He doesn't really have a great arm, while Stafford has one of the
Thanks.
best arms we've ever seen. Exactly. So yeah, I hope he stays healthy. I want to see a competitive Rams team. I said they'll win the division. I think you did too, but he has to be healthy. But hopefully that O line was pretty solid last year. Hopefully they can keep it up again.
Yeah. Moving on, some less interesting news. The Steelers have extended the most mid running back in history.
Boo!
Tyler
Come on, Quinn.
Warren.
You don't hear me say that about your Eagles news.
Well, there's no one mid on the Eagles. Nah, I'm joking, but yes, Steelers have
Jalen
extended
Hurts.
Warren. It's debate. I think most people, actually, I can say most people. Some people are just stupid. Anyway, but I'm not going to take away from Warren's spotlight. Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts about this, Dylan? I know he's not the best running back ever, but he's certainly serviceable.
Well, in terms of details of it, it's 2 years. It's 12 billion guaranteed, and also included like almost $6 million paying bonus. So it's kind of like what you expect. Warren's good. He just needs someone else with him. He's not gonna get Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry amount of rushes. Like no chance. Like Arthur Smith, he screwed Bijan over back when he was their coach and barely gave him carry. So he's definitely gonna split it between Warren and the Iowa rookie running back Caleb Johnson, who looked shaky in the preseason, but maybe you could blame the O-line for that. A lot of this depends on the O-line, too, and how good our blocking O-line can be. But get used to seeing number 30 and get used to seeing Caleb Johnson, and even, unfortunately, get used to Gainwell. He's probably going to use all three of them a lot. Yeah, your former Eagle that you don't miss at all. I know that. He was useless. But yeah, I like it. A lot of people were, especially my family, were not happy with me liking that Najee was leaving. Which 1,000 yards, I get it. He got it every year. He's consistent, but for one, it took him forever to get to the 1,000. Always would take until like the playoffs to get it, or like the final week to get it. And he always ran like he was in quicksand. And now he's Patchy the Parrot, one eye Najee now. So we'll see how that goes for him. But I think it was the right move. It's just risky to rely on a guy like Warren, who at best was the RB2, and then a rookie in an Arthur Smith offense where he's in love with running the ball. Maybe Jonnu Smith will get some carries. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a better version of the Cowboys running back room, but a good bit better. But it's still a little like, who do we have? Well, at least one guy has a cool last name, Gainwell. Anyway, but yeah, that's all NFL news for now. Now we have to move on to college football. Whoa, crazy!
And Penn State's bye week.
Yeah, Penn State, number
Pitt
2
had one
ranked.
too. To be fair, my Pitt Panthers had a bye. We both had bye weeks.
Yeah, Penn State won 46-11 against Nevada, and that's all I have to say about college football. Dylan, take it away.
You don't watch it at all. All you care about is Penn State. Well, obviously, even if you didn't watch this, Quinn, and for those who somehow didn't watch it, live under a rock, the big one was Texas against Ohio State. And Arch Manning, the hyped up Heisman favorite, the dude that was going to lead Texas to the championship, no doubt about it. Number 1, Texas. He played pretty terrible. He did. At the end of the game, he almost let a comeback. I'll give him that. But that's the first 45 minutes of the game, he was struggling. The stat line was he was 17 of 30, 170 yards, touchdown to pick. And running back couldn't get anything going. Either Weisner with 80 yards. It's not like Ohio State looked any better either, because Texas has one of the best secondaries in the country. They might arguably the 2 best defenses in the country in Texas and Ohio State. Julian Sayin, their new quarterback, he managed the game well. He threw for $126 and touchdown, and CJ Donaldson, their new running back, got a touchdown. The big throw for the touchdown to Tate was huge for Ohio State. And just overall, it was a defensive battle, and the better team won. That's all that matters. They won the playoffs, and they won here, and it just proves that Texas has a long way to go. Now, to those who are saying Arch Manning's washed, he's overrated, I get it. But for those who are saying that, I got to stop saying that. Oh, my gosh. I got to...
Man,
anyway,
you're a big Ohio State fan. Jeez.
Oh God! Don't tell my cousins that who goes there. He'll
sorry, that's
that.
defamation of character.
It is defamation. No, but but Arch, I think will be fine. I think he'll still be good. How about one of your first ever? I don't think it was his first ever start, but one of his first starts. His first start, at least, is a full timer, and he's got to go up against the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes on the road against one of the toughest defenses in the country. That's rough. That is very rough. So they got easier games. He'll ease into the system, and I think he'll play better. I still think they're a playoff team. But this does prove to me that maybe in the big-time games when it comes to playoff time, Texas just can't shine in those big games. I mean, they shut down Jeremiah Smith, who might be the best receiver in the country, and they still lost. So that just goes to show, again, how good Ohio State's secondary is, how good Texas defense is. Just all out defensive battle. Quinn, do you have any thoughts on the Arch Manning slander on social media?
I mean, Arch Manning seems like a nice guy. I think he will rebound. I mean, it's tough starting against Ohio State,
He's
even
a
though,
Manning. How can he not be a nice guy? Who
yeah,
doesn't love the
exactly.
Mannings?
Yeah, but it's a rough way to start. And I mean, it was a close game. I mean, 7-14 isn't anything to scoff about. He did get better at the end, like you said. He almost led a game-winning drive, but it's going to take some time. I mean, it's not like hype you would hope for, and having a Manning come out and destroy Ohio State. But I don't think it's that often that Ohio State gets destroyed, unfortunately. But, it's one of those
Certainly
things.
not by your team.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. I was gonna make some fun about saying, but you already did it, so I don't have to. So I appreciate that.
I don't know if you saw on social media some funny edits of like the Manning cast and they edited where Arch Manning was playing, and they were both Mannings were like this in the edits, and then like this is so messed up, but like what I don't know if it was like an AI edited voice or something, but like Peyton Manning after like Manning threw a bad throw was like, "I told you he was effing adopted." It was
Wow.
it's messed up, but so funny. I can imagine their real life reactions were similar to that
Yeah,
because how
probably.
dare a Manning play this bad in a big
You're
game?
like, ugh, jeez. I mean,
Uh,
Peyton Manning didn't play that well in a lot of games beforehand. He did struggle like
yeah, he
Lamar had
struggled
been.
his rookie year too, and he didn't set the world on fire in college. Brady didn't set the world on fire in college. So yeah, you
There's
just
still
never
hope.
know. There's still hope. I think overreaction. I mean, it's funny to joke about it since he's like kind of like the nepo
He's done.
baby.
He's undrafted.
He's
He's
the
not.
nepo
He's going
baby.
to the Jags.
Oh, geez, we'll get to that team. But yeah, still good game to watch. Good old school defensive game. To quickly go over any other big games, Alabama. Oh boy, top 10 team in the country, and they go down to unranked Florida State, 31-17. And Nick Saban has got to be fuming and begging to come out of retirement now because they're not living up to the hype at all. That hyped up defense, who a lot of people were saying was the best defense in the country, completely folded to Florida State. That has a completely new team and a completely new quarterback too. I mean, Florida State's running basically did most of the carry, and their QB only threw 14 times. So there you go, Alabama. Improve your rushing defense. But that was the biggest upset of the week. LSU beating Clemson, pretty good. Another defensive battle. These are two other quarterbacks in Klubnik and Nussmeier that are projected to go in the draft next year. And Nussmeier played a little bit better than Klubnik. He did. Neither of them looked outstanding, but again, two of the best defense in the country. That's what you get. And again, both teams will be fine. Don't overreact. Notre Dame Miami, one of the other better games of the week. Always a fun rivalry to watch with Miami barely beating them and Carson Beck, Mr. getting paid like $9 million to transfer to Miami because NIL is ruining college football, but managed to get the job done against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's new quarterback played very well for himself in CJ Carr, but the O-line kind of fell apart at the very end of the game, and it just wasn't enough. One of Miami's receivers, I forgot who, it might have been Tony, had a spectacular one-handed catch. If you haven't seen that, watch it. It might be play of the year already. And in the final one, we brought this up before, but Bill Belichick got completely destroyed by TCU. They scored a touchdown on the opening drive, and that was it. It was all over. You look at this picture of how depressed that face is. I mean, he's always looking like he's depressed, but man, his poor girlfriend might have had to go home early because it was her bedtime. You should have seen if you thought Arch Manning was slandered on social media, you should have saw Belichick and his girlfriend. Oh my God, they were all over that, and rightfully so. But again, it's going to take Carolina some time. I mean, they got 70 new players because of this whole like new rule in college football. You can bring in as many guys or a certain amount of guys, but they're all like young, and I think maybe like two of them are NFL prospects. That's it. So they might not be good this year. It's kind of like a rebuilding time for them. But Quinn, that perfectly segues because we got a new fun segment of the season. You know how I did quote of the week that basically turned into clip of the week? We're keeping that, but I got a cool new intro and I got a cool new name because in honor of my favorite coach, the Bug Eyes himself, Mike Tomlin, it is going to be Dylan's Tomlinism of the week. Hit it!
And now it's time for Dylan's Tomlinism of the week.
We do not care.
Upwards 70 new players here. Many of them came after the spring. How would you describe the way you've been able to build the culture you want with so many people that are new working together?
I've been surprised, honestly, about how quickly it's come together. The buy-in's great, the work ethic's great. These guys really want to learn. Well, I'm not saying we're anywhere close to being good right now, but we're certainly, we've made a lot of progress, and the players have given me a great effort. So I want to give them that same effort back, and we'll see where it takes us.
You saw that little snippet of a comment. He was praising them a little bit, but he's like, it's not like we're anywhere close to good. So I guess even he knew this was going to probably happen. But Quinn, out of any of these, whether it's the Belichick game, any of the other big games I talked about, what are your reactions?
Penn State. Woo! That's it.
You fair weather fan. Okay, back to the NFL, which means back to our this week's host, you, since, yeah, we can finally talk about stuff you know about.
Woo! So I have to say I did love the. It's not like we're good or anything, but we're nowhere close to good. But
Classic Belichick.
So next up, we're just gonna take a quick pit stop in power rankings, see if we have any updates from last week. Probably not a lot, but we'll start with you, Dylan. Any comments you want to make?
Well, yeah, I wanted to do this just because, like, we did this before the Micah trade, so it's like, oh, just Green Bay jump up, or do any of these teams jump up and down? Which, and for those if you were watching it, I screwed up last week and accidentally had just 9 teams on the list. I meant to have Commanders at 6 and Bucks at 7. I think I said like Bucks at 6 and skipped 7 because, you know, I'm so professional that I forget stuff like that. But, I mean, looking at it, man, I might put them at like 9 or 8 Green Bay now because of the Micah move. I mean, it's that big of a deal to where I think they jumped up. So I think I'd probably put them at 8 and maybe switch and put LA at 10, Denver at 9, then put Green Bay at 8. But besides that, I'd keep it as it is. Sorry,
Yeah,
Quinn, I'm not switching the Chiefs to 2. I'm not doing it. I still like the Ravens roster. Yeah, I think the list, I'm not changing it besides Green Bay. And that's the only reason why I wanted to like compare it, because I'm like, does Micah's move jump Green Bay?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. The only move I have is Packers, and I'm actually going to have them move up 2 spots to number 6 and then move the Rams and Bucks down. So what previously was Rams 6, Bucks 7, Packers 8, it is now Packers 6, Rams 7, Bucks 8. I feel comfortable with moving them above the Bucks. The Bucks are good, but with this jump, I think Packers overtake them. And just right now with the Rams, with Stafford and his injury, I'm just going to move them up. The Packers just up above the Rams for now. Not quite above the Lions, though, but we'll talk about that later in our predictions for week 1.
But that's later.
That's later. But anyway, so now we're going to move on, and we have now our fun segment block. So first is a kind of fun segment that we kind of made the name up by accident for, but it's this segment's going to be called "I'm Insane Brown." Like Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Shout out to Siri for mispronouncing that. It actually was kind of a creative name.
Yeah, I voice messaged Dylan last night using Siri, messaging about this clip, or maybe some night. And instead of Amon-Ra, my Siri thought I said, "I'm Insane Brown." So "I'm Insane Brown" is the name of the clip, which is
insane.
Pretty fun. He is insane. So a little bit of background. Back in 2023, very long ago now, I know, Amon-Ra St. Brown fought through a lot of injuries during the season. So to start with, in week 2, he injured his toe. Then in the following week, week 3, he tore his oblique. which is not good. So then week 4, he was playing, and he said that during the game he was playing through intense pain, and when asked to rate it out of 10, he said 8 or 9 out of 10. And he played the whole game. He caught a touchdown too. So kind of crazy, just playing through all this. Week 6, he played again through the pain, and then he kept playing through these injuries in the oblique for the rest of the season. He also happened to have hand, foot, and mouth disease during week 8, which is a virus, which is funny because normally it's foot and mouth disease, but this is hand, foot, and mouth disease. So he got all 3 of them. So this segment's just kind of going to talk about these players are obviously, football is a dangerous sport. You get hurt, and this can impact your whole life. Now, it's worth it if you, argument is it's worth it if you can do what you love and get paid millions of dollars. So that way, when you're 60 and your brain is mush, then you have money to continue to live while you're mush, I guess. Obviously,
Shout out Antonio Brown.
Exaggeration, yeah. But things happen a lot in sports, and we're just going to kind of discuss like whether is it worth it. Like personally, would you want to do that? But before we start discussion, I do have some other examples of players playing through injury. Philip Rivers, if you remember him, he was a quarterback for the Chargers. He tore his ACL in the 2008 AFC Championship game and finished the game, which we'll go back to that later. But so he played through the game. Then McNabb broke his fibula in 3 places in 2002 during a regular season game.
Sure boy.
So his leg is broken. He goes to the tent for the trainers to look at it. He tells them it's sprained, goes out and finishes the game, passes for 4 touchdowns and 255 yards. Insane. And then another quarterback, Steve McNair. He was a Titans quarterback back in early 2000s. He won the MVP 2003, and the next year he bruised his sternum. Now, that doesn't sound that bad, but this required hospitalization. But he just continued to play for 5 more weeks before finally being enough pain to go and get surgery. So there's, of course, some minor injuries and some discomfort that players will play through. But, I mean, at least it's my opinion, that's kind of... The game's important and your record's important, your team's important. But at what point do you value yourself and your own body? I feel like that's becoming more prevalent now too in the NFL with the Players Association and like concussions, especially too with Tua. That's a whole nother hour of discussion we could have about that. But
I was going to say
points,
it's basically you could call it the Tua question.
Yeah, the Tua question, exactly. But it's just like for me, I value my health and my body, and like. There's lots of people who say don't sacrifice your health for wealth. Don't work too hard. Don't work too much. It's just, a company taking your money, I think, or a company taking your time. So I don't know how that gets lost in translation between working a 9-to-5 desk job, let's say, and the NFL. Now, the NFL, like people, I would say enjoy it more than other people, like an accountant's job, maybe on average, perhaps. But
hope.
Yeah, but it's also a lot less important than most jobs playing in the NFL because, yes, it's great and we love it. It's entertainment. But at the end of the day, if football disappears, there are going to be unhappy people, but there's nothing that devastating going to happen. We don't need NFL football to live. So you're putting yourself and your body on the line, potentially years more of playing this game that you love for less time of playing for something that in the end doesn't actually matter. So at least I'm of the opinion that you really shouldn't play through these injuries, especially like the bruised sternum. That's insane. The broken leg. Like that was a regular season game. Does that matter? Not really. I mean, I'm sure there's instances, but I think that was week 5 for McNabb. So not really that for like off season. I mean, the ACL, Rivers tearing his ACL in the championship game. I can understand that more. You're the star of the franchise. You feel responsible to your team. But there's also the fact of your own body and taking care of yourself. But yeah, Dylan, what are your thoughts? Do you agree, disagree?
Well, I'll say this is a factor that's more than just football. I know this is a football podcast, but I can give you so many examples of that in other sports. Look at the Michael Jordan infamous flu game. Look at Kobe shooting with a torn Achilles a free throw. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a WWE fan. I know everyone likes to call that fake, but they put their bodies on the line. They actually get hurt, and they wrestled through injuries. And you mentioned some examples, Quinn, but one of the more infamous ones that you didn't mention, Jack Youngblood, which that name alone will tell you all you need to know about how much of a badass this guy was. In, I believe it was 1979. I think it was like the NFC Championship game because he used to play for the Rams, and it was the year they played the Dynasty Steelers in the Super Bowl. Famously played. Let me look up what the injury is. He suffered a fractured left tibia during a game against Cowboys. Played through it, which is insane. A broken left tibia. Apparently, he didn't find out until halftime when he showed him an x-ray, and he just played through it. He did not care. And that was just more common back then, too. It's like you said, with the St. Brown stuff, it's still happening occasionally in modern times, but back then, that was just a thing. It was kind of like the manly man, if you want to say that, the man's man type of era where they they play through everything. They play through broken bones and everything. Now with modern medical technology, that's not as common, but you'll get a St. Brown moment every now and then that especially if they're a star, they want to play through it. My man, Big Ben, how many times has that man played through injuries? Oh my gosh, that man could barely walk sometimes on a field, but they didn't care. He stepped on that field. I bet you, Quinn, with your opinion and your conversation, you won over a lot of the athletes' wives and girlfriends saying this stuff because, they probably want their players healthy. So I bet if somehow any of them are watching this, they'll probably love what you're saying because they probably agree. I'd say it's tough. I hate to say neutral, but I'm kind of I half agree, I half don't. Because, yes, there's definitely examples where it's life's more important, real life's more important. Don't play through all these injuries, any of these, especially a Tua situation or any severe thing. That's also why, though, there's medical teams out there to force you and to tell you to not play as well that maybe should be more enforced a little bit. Should maybe be a little more stricter, so that way the players can't be on the field as much as they want to, because it's a mentality, Quinn. And don't want to roast you, Quinn, in front of not live television but a radio podcast. You weren't much of an athlete. You played a little bit of sports, but what did you play?
That's true. Yeah,
soccer. So I mean, I'm not even close to a professional athlete, but I did play high school sports and stuff. But I know plenty of athletes, and that's just the mentality. It's the ride or die mentality. Was it messed up? Maybe, but that's how they are. That's what makes them great. And sometimes you got to make sacrifices to do any type of job, let alone professional sports. And it's how it is. I'm not saying it's a good thing. And I agree with you in some points where it's yes, you need to keep your body safe. We are not in the 60s or 70s anymore where we need to be playing through broken frickin' tibulas. That stuff's done. But if it's up to the athlete, it's up to the athlete. And who knows if he consoled with it? Who knows if St. Brown consoled? I don't know what his relationship status is, but if he has a girlfriend or wife, if he talked about it with her, bet you they know about it in his family, and if they're cool with it. I know it's tough, but it's the beast of the business. That's how it is in any professional sports. It's how it is. So I would say agree to disagree. I agree with you on some facets, but also it's always been like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion point, but yeah. But although I said fun segments, this was kind of a somewhat not depressing segment, but more serious. But now we get on to the fun stuff. Now we did already do Dylan's clip of the week with Billy Belicheck, so now we're just down to a little bit weird and funky, but wow and wow. So Yeah, so this week, the Wow Now, since obviously there's no games last week, I'm not even going to do preseason Wow Now because, oh, look, Jimmy Joe Bob from the Jaguars. Wow, he did great. Yeah, no one
He
cares
sure
about
as
the
heck ain't
third
doing college
stringers.
football because he doesn't watch that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Manning would be an owl. I can give you that. But anyway, now we're going to do teams this week, and this will kind of lead into predictions then. Well, we have one more segment for predictions after this. It will kind of tie into that, so you get a little sneak peek of my predictions. But
We're tying
going to
into
go
the
over
tie-in to the tie-in.
exactly. We're going to go over some of the more interesting predictions. So first of all, we're starting with well, you know what? Since we just did a segment about more serious factors, we're going to go with Al first, get it out of the way. So, Al, I think, um, well, there's a lot of speculation. The Bengals, they always lose their first 5 games of the season for the past 5 years because, classic Bengals, right? Ha ha. Well, Joe Burrow has been playing in the preseason along with the offense. So, in their matchup against the Browns, could be an interesting game, but I'm gonna say the Browns are outing this week. People might be like, the Browns, maybe they can beat the Bengals because
They're
the
an
Bengals
out
stink in
team,
the first
period.
week. Yes, but in the few people's hopes of the Browns, they can win week 1 because the Bengals suck week 1. No, the Browns are gonna beat Al, their quarterback room. Joe Flacco could ball out. Who knows? We really don't know. He's like a magic 8 ball, but the Browns are first Al. Second out is going to be the Raiders. I know they just got all of their kind of crap together a bit, but their first game all together, Ashton Genty's first game, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, all in this new scheme. I think it'll be a bit of an ow for them this week. And they are playing the Patriots, so it is a winnable game, but I think they're going to take an L this week. And then finally, I'm going to say the Rams are another owl, the final owl, just because Stafford, like we talked about before, first week playing and since last season, might not get off to the smoothest start, especially against the Texans defense. But we're going to move on to the wow teams now because, wow, they're going to be great. Starting off, we have the Broncos. Yes. So I know we have a lot of hype for them. This might seem like an obvious one. They're playing the Titans. I think they could very much come out and just destroy the Titans. Cam
Look out,
Ward,
Cam
first
Ward.
game. That's rough for him. Yeah. Broncos, what? Potentially number 1 defense in the league. We'll see. But could be the Broncos putting up 70 points this week. No, probably not. I would be surprised. But yeah, no, I think the Broncos will be impressive this week. I think, surprise, surprise, the Steelers will be impressive this week going against the Jets. The old team Aaron Rodgers is just on. I think Aaron Rodgers come in here. He's a veteran. He can ball out maybe. And I mean, have you seen Justin Fields? He's like eating plants and sucking. So yeah, as the Jets. Come on, Steelers going to come out here and wow this week. And then you know what? We'll save a more controversial pick for later. We're going to do the Cardinals. They are playing the Saints. So also another game that they can probably curb stomp the Saints a little bit because Spencer Rattler is starting. Not great for the Saints and Kellen Moore, but I think the Cardinals, they've always been kind of are they going to be good? Could they win the division? Oh, no, never mind. They're the Cardinals. Who knows what's going on? But I think they can come out. Marvin Harrison Jr. could have I don't really know how his offseason was, but going to come out here and ball out with Kyler, James Conner, like Dylan was wearing last week, come out here and run all over the field. But yeah, I have the Cardinals as final wow team. Dylan, it looks like you had some thoughts during the Steelers comment. Do you have want to share those with the class or any other comments?
Why don't we just get to predictions and then I'll say what I say. We'll get to predictions of what I think's gonna happen.
All right, perfect. Well, before we get to predictions, we're going to quick go over some of our playoff bracket. Mm-hmm. Since we didn't do that last week, we're going to cover that this week. So, Dylan, since I was just talking, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, because the episode was so long, I made the executive decision as the CEO to TQ Frenzy to just have the division winners and then the Super Bowl because it was taking a while. But we want to give you our full, like, what we think's going to happen, who are the other playoff teams are going to be, and everything like that. So we'll start with the AFC this time since we started with the NFC. So I had the Bills winning the division, the Chiefs winning the division, the Ravens winning the division, and I had Houston winning the division. I got Baltimore as the 1 seed. I believe it's going to be back to them. I just think, again, the dominance of them, it's going to be too much to handle. AFC North could be competitive, but the Ravens always seem to overcome that. I got Buffalo as the 2 seed. I got KC as the 3. And the traditional Houston Texans as the 4 seed that play the Saturday on ABC wildcard game, because such is life every year. It's the Houston Texans playing the first wildcard game. But in terms of 5 through 7, it's tough. It's tough because there's so many divisions that can have 3 playoff teams. Like the AFC North and AFC West are the 2 that I'm like could easily have 3 teams. But I am going to go with Denver as the 5 seed. I think Denver will get in, just not winning the division. I think Cincy will get in as the 6th seed. And as much as I've been grabbing on this offseason, I got the Steelers as always at the 7 seed, just over the Chargers. I think those 2 will be battling it out for the 7 spot. And I think they'll barely get in because that's how it is. It'll be the same thing as usual, playing a 2 seed, the wild card, which is the Bills, and the Steelers will lose that. Just like they did 2 years ago at Buffalo. Because, again, such is life. But we got a really good wildcard game in terms of my seeds with the Bengals at the Chiefs. Rematch of some championship games. And I got Cincy knocking their asses out in the wildcard game. I got Joe Burrow winning again
With
against
what
Patrick
defense?
Mahomes. It does not matter. And then I got the
Doesn't it?
Broncos at the Texans, and I think Denver takes that with their really good defense as the 5 seed. So what I got here is I got Cincy, since they're the lower seed. They would play the Ravens in the divisional round, a little divisional matchup. And then I would have the Broncos against the Bills, a rematch of the wild card game. And sorry, Buffalo, you're getting your hearts broken again because Denver's going to the AFC Championship game. And then I'd have Baltimore beat Cincy. And then I'd have a Baltimore-Denver AFC Championship game. I am that high on Denver. But if you saw my Super Bowl picks, I had Baltimore going to the Super Bowl. I'd find it hard to believe if they don't. NFC, I'll go over this one a little quicker. I know I took my time there, the AFC. But I had Philly winning the division. I had LA winning it. I had Detroit winning it. I'm trying to look at my divisions. And I had NFC South, Tampa winning it. Philly gets the 1 seed again. I find it hard to believe that anybody else will. I mean, I know Detroit got it, but I think Philly will be even more dominant this year. I got Detroit as the 2. I got Tampa actually as the 3. I think they'll do a lot better record-wise than they had the previous years. And then I got LA at the 4 seed. Again, wild card, pretty close. Pretty close. It's tough to tell. But at the 5 seed, I got the Commanders. I know, Quinn, you've been a little bit on them because they're a little bit older, but I still believe the Commanders are a playoff team. As long as Daniels is there, they got Scary Terry back. 6 through 7, again, another division, the NFC North, could easily have 3 playoff teams again like they did last year. I do think Green Bay will be one of them at the 6th spot with this Micah deal. I just think you can't deny that. I really don't. I think that defense is, again, like I said earlier, got really elevated. And I think Jordan Love will step it up a bit. He's been pretty inconsistent. He's Quinn's greatest enemy, but I think highly of him, and I think they'll get back. At the 7, I got it right down to the narrow wire between San Francisco and Minnesota, but I got San Francisco barely getting in because their schedule's pretty easy. I think it's the easiest in the NFL. That doesn't mean I think they're going to be dominant. Like, their division isn't exactly the easiest, and their team's got still a lot of injuries and a lot of releases they got to get through. But I think they'll be good enough now as long as they're healthy to get in the playoffs over the Vikings as the 7th spot. So, with that being the case, I am trying to remember the matchups in my head. So, I got San Francisco against the Lions. This is a matchup I thought would happen last year if San Francisco would be good. But I got Detroit winning that one just because the offense is really
Revenge.
good. I don't think the loss of coordinators. Yes, revenge for the NFC Championship game, too. Almost forgot about that one. We got the 6-seeded Packers at the 3-seeded Rams. That would be kind of an offensive showdown there. I would have the Rams barely edging out Green Bay in that one. As long as Stafford's healthy, I think that offense will be just enough to beat Micah and Green Bay's defense. And then we have the 5-seeded Command. Wait a minute. Did I screw? I think I did screw that up. It's not the Rams. Sorry, no. It was supposed to be the Packers at the Bucks. That's what it was supposed to be. I am so sorry, guys. Find me suspend. Yeah, we're so professional. But if that's the case, sorry, Tampa. I got Green Bay with the upset in that one. Just because as much as I like Tampa, when it comes to the playoffs, they don't perform. They're kind of like the regular season good team. So, yeah, give me Green Bay because they always seem to be the plucky underdogs in the playoffs. Then I got the Commanders and Rams, which is just as intriguing of a matchup. That one I got LA taken. Commanders defense, they made some moves, but still might be a little shaky, especially against a team like LA. So I'd go with the Rams there. So with that being the case, we would have a rematch of the NFC wildcard game of Green Bay and Philly in the division round. And might play out like it did the last time with Philly winning, unfortunately. Unfortunately, just because Philly's defense seems like it's still going to be as dominant as it's ever been. It's Rams against the Lions, and I got the Lions winning that one. So the championship game, which I was surprised that we didn't get last year, was Lions against the Eagles. That's because the Lions got upset by the Commanders. I do think we'll get it this year.
Blown out by the Commanders. So.
Not this year, because they're going to beat the Eagles and go to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl Lions at Ravens. Ravens win the Super Bowl. Your turn.
All right. Perfect. So, starting with the AFC side, I have the Bills as number 1 seed, followed by the Ravens at 2, the Broncos at 3, Texans at 4, because, come on. I have the Chiefs at 5, Chargers at 6, although I almost had them at 7, but number 7 is the Steelers. I also have the Steelers 7, Aaron Rodgers. I feel like he could get them the 6th seed, but right now I feel more comfortable with 7. But that means wildcard matchups are going to be the 5 Chiefs taking on the 4 Texans. And I'm going to have the Texans actually take that one. Chiefs struggling a little bit. Texans win. Yeah, crazy. My Texans, flashback to my Texans making it to the Super Bowl last year. That was interesting. Anyway, then another wildcard matchup. The number 6 Chargers taking on the 3 Broncos. I also like the Broncos, so I'm having the Broncos take that one. And then the 7 Steelers against the 2 Ravens. This might be an upset here. I'm going with the classic rivalry, Steelers-Ravens. Lately, it's been the Steelers winning. So I have the Steelers upsetting the Ravens, showing the Ravens that they're not special. And they need to get better to get to the Super Bowl.
They kicked our ass in the wild card last year.
Yeah. But other years, you guys have owned Lamar. So I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, saying you win. With Aaron Rodgers and his playoff experience, I think you can get it done. Anyway, that brings us up to the number 1 Bills taking on the number 4 Texans. And unfortunately, so I think I've learned from my mistakes last year, hopefully, and I'm having the Bills take that one. I think the Bills are just going to get it done against the Texans. And then the number 7 Steelers taking on the number 3 Broncos. Let's see where this is going. I also have the Broncos making the AFC Championship game. What? Not the Super Bowl.
And Denver sucks this year. We're going to look so bad.
Yeah, hopefully it's not another case of the Texans like last year. We're both high on them. Anyway, but yeah, I have the Bills beating the Broncos and getting to the Super Bowl. Broncos not quite there yet. A little more experience for Bo Nix, but I think it'll be exciting. Although I don't think it'd be totally crazy for the Broncos to get there because Bo Nix, looking at his quarterbacking journey, he's gotten there into his championship games in college. But anyway, so I do also want to revise because the Cowboys are stupid. I mean, smart. In trading Micah Parsons, I am promoting the Commanders up to second in the NFC East and the
Wow,
sixth
you
seed instead of
changed
the
it.
Cowboys. Yeah, it's not fair the Cowboys did this to me, and that's a classic Cowboys. But you know what? I can deal with that. Darn. At least I don't have to move them up. But anyway, so number one, I have the Eagles. Number two, I have the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to do well this season. Classic. So does all the other NFL people apparently. But anyway, Bucks two, Lions three, Rams four. I do think they're going to get out of the Stafford out-key phase and hopefully he doesn't get hurt, and they'll end up with a very good record. And Devontae Adams is obviously on their team now too, which is good. Number five, I have the Green Bay Mother Loving Packers. They have not moved spots though because I don't quite see them being the Lions or winning the division over the Lions right now. But Packers at 5, Commanders at 6, and 49ers at 7. Like Dylan said, the Niners have the easiest schedule. I think they'll win enough games to get into the playoffs, even though they are struggling a bit with everything else player-wise. But so that means I have the 5 Packers taking on the 4 Rams. And this will be a very good game. I think the Rams are going to take this one. It'll be close, but I trust Stafford over Love and his experience. And the Rams are just very, very good with all that. They're the only team to almost beat the Eagles in the playoffs last year. Anyway, Commanders 6 seed taking on the Lions 3 seed. It's another matchup or another rematch. I think the Lions take this one though. They get revenge from last year's blowout. I don't think it'll be another blowout, but I think the Lions will win it. And then finally, the 49ers 7 seed taking on the number 2 Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers mop up the Niners here. The Niners just get in there. Great though. So that means we have the number 1 Eagles taking on the number 5 Rams, another rematch, but this time the Eagles have another bye week. So I have the Eagles taking this one as well. Hopefully the Eagles keep owning the Rams like last season. Saquon Barkley just has their number, calls up a few touchdowns, and settles that debate. There was a fun snow game last year, though. That was the only like bad weather game of the playoffs, so that at least was enjoyable, although stressful for me. Anyway, then I have the number 3 Lions taking on the number 2 Buccaneers. I think this is going off because the Lions coordinators are good, but the Lions have a lot of talent. And I think they beat the Buccaneers. So that means it's the Eagles, Lions, and I have the Eagles beating the Lions here. I think the Eagles are just better roster, better talent. Head coach, maybe. Anyway, and then so Super Bowl is Eagles, Bills as a reminder, and Eagles are once again Super Bowl champions.
Shocker!
Quick side note, I am going to be making a little video later on sometime this week talking about a certain NFL article that came out, which we'll be discussing. It's a segment that we did last week that I personally did last week. So that'll be a fun little thing. Pay attention for that when that comes in. But finally, we are moving on to week 1 predictions. It's finally here.
Cue the intro.
You stink! Absolutely terrible, man. He's so stupid it hurts.
And cue our background music. Let's go. All right, Quinn. I'm guessing I'm doing the games because I'm the more hype one, I guess.
Sure. Why not?
Sure. Let's do it. But Quinn, your team's starting out. We got the Dallas trading Micah Parsons Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles take this one. It might be a little bit closer than people think. People just think, oh, Cowboys are trash. Blowout.
Trash.
They got rid of everybody.
Oh my God.
But don't deny that offense. They are still pretty good. They made a move for Pickens. Running back room shaky, but Dallas and Philly always seems to be close when Dallas is healthy. So Philly will take it, but I think it'll be a little bit closer.
I also think Eagles win this. I will give it to you. I know there's been some sports heads talking about that every time the Eagles and Cowboys have met the past few years, there's been somebody out, whether it's Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott. It almost seemed like the schedule makers are like, damn it, we want to see the Cowboys-Eagles rivalry properly, and we want to see everyone healthy, so damn it, we're putting it week 1. So this will be a fun game, but I think, 70 to 25 type of game. Eagles, but Eagles are winning.
Well, I know America hates this game because no one outside those cities cares for them. Anyway, let's go to Brazil for the Chiefs against the Chargers. Quinn, who's taking it?
Friday night. I think it's the Chiefs here. The Chargers, they try, and they try, and they try, but they just can't seem to beat the Chiefs, or at least consistently. And I mean, it's just challenging, and Justin Herbert, very good, but then he never seems to get it done against the Chiefs either, so I have to give it to the Chiefs.
And he still will never get it done against the Chiefs because I'm also going with the Chiefs. I mean, I wouldn't be like completely shocked if the Chargers stun them a little bit, but it's Mahomes. You can't bet against that team. I think they take it. Time to go to the battle of teams playing their former teams. Aaron Rodgers playing against his former team and Justin Fields playing against his former team. Steelers at the Jets. I teased it a little bit about you thinking we're going to be a wow team. I don't think we're going to wow the world. I think this screams like ugly, defensive, lower scoring. But I think the Steelers get it done. I trust TJ Watt and that pass rush to be all over Fields despite his running ability. If we could take that away, then we should be fine. Breece Hall might give us some problems, but at the end of the day, I trust Rodgers way more than Fields despite his age. And it might be a game where Boswell kicks 1,000,000 field goals and we win. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'll go with the Steelers. Why not?
I almost take the Steelers. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers will come out here and be like, you know what, Jets, you know what you did? You wasted 2 years of my career. I got injured the first play on your field. You know what? I'm just going to come in here and show you a thing or two about what quarterbacking is with a competent organization and head coach. So yeah, I'm taking the Steelers here. I think they'll win handily.
A battle of the meh, or maybe even worse than meh. The Dolphins at the Colts. Quinn, who's taking this one?
I mean, it has to be the Dolphins, right? I mean, the Colts are just, it's Daniel Jones. We've seen Daniel Jones. We don't want to see more of Daniel Jones. Yeah, I think the Dolphins, even though they're a mess, and they've admitted that they're a mess, they're less of a mess than the Colts. They're together enough to be a mess, if that makes any sense. So the Colts are just kind of like, Daniel Jones, throw it to Michael Pittman Jr. It'll probably just be Jonathan Taylor, honestly, just running around. But yeah, I think the Dolphins have enough competence to win this game. And Tua isn't concussed yet, so that's probably a good sign.
Well, as long as Tua's brain doesn't turn to mush, and as long as Tyreek Hill doesn't get arrested or has more kids, I'm going to go with Miami to win this game, too, because Indy's, besides Jonathan Taylor, is a disaster. I mean, they got good receivers, but who's throwing them the ball? Danny Derps, that too. And Miami's defense isn't even that good, but Danny might make them look good. That's how trash he is. So give me Miami.
And it's warm out yet. It's warm out. Dolphins, they like warm. And
indoors. So
yep.
They'll take it.
Yep.
All right. Panthers at the Jags. Kind of an interesting matchup here. I'd have to give it to the Jags by just a bit. Even though the Panthers, I have high hopes for them this year to improve. I also got high hopes for the Jags to improve, and I like their upside a little bit more. I like their weapons more. I like their defense a little bit more, too. So I'm going to go with the Jags, and I'm expecting good days from Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter to break out pretty well.
So this is my bold pick, I think. I'm going to take the Panthers to win this game. I mean, it's kind of, on one hand, it's kind of tough. On the other hand, the Jags aren't that good. So I also would venture to say this might be a overreaction or a risky thing to say, but I think if the Panthers win here, they could easily go 5-0 because they start against the Jags, Cardinals, Falcons, Patriots, Dolphins. None of which are like, oh my God, those are great teams. If the Panthers have gotten together in the offseason, their quarterback whisperer has whispered more in Bryce Young's ear, and Tedero McMillan's going to start balling out, and be the guy that everyone thought Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be last year, I think they could come out here and win their first 5 games and shock the world, kind of like how the Saints did last year. They were really good. But, yeah, I'm going to go bold and say Panthers win this game.
I like it. I mean, it's bold, but it's also kind of like two teams that it's a question mark. It's a big shrug emoji. You don't know what you're going to do. Speaking of a team that's a big shrug emoji, the Arizona Cardinals at the Saints. If Arizona doesn't take this game, then cancel the rest of the season because the Saints should be gunning for, might not even be Arch Manning anymore, but some other quarterback. So give me the Cardinals, please.
Yeah, I talked about this before. It should be the Cardinals winning this. If not, there's problems.
Big problems. Giants at the Commanders, a game that I think could be closer than people think because the Commanders kind of play down the teams a little bit. So, Quinn, who do you got for this?
I mean, it is the Giants are interesting with their quarterback room. To be honest, I don't know who they're starting, but they certainly have a lot of options to start.
I know it's.
But
I think it's Russ.
I think so, but I am going to take the Commanders yet here. Maybe if the Giants show me some things. I know Week 1 can be weird and wonky, and some teams can do weird things and never happens for the rest of the season. So that could be a Giants victory. I don't really have any wonky things other than my bold Panthers pick, but I think that we could win this.
I think it'll be close, like I said. I think it'll even come down to the wire. It'll be one of those weird games where the Commanders shouldn't be playing as wonky as they are, but they are. But I'll say the Commanders edge them out. All right, we got a divisional matchup, the Bucs at the Falcons. And even though I have Tampa winning the division and being a 3 seed, they're not the most consistent team. I'm going to give the Falcons this one to edge them out. I think Bijan will have a day. I think Penix will impress. I think it might be a pretty high-scoring game. These are two pretty good offenses. But I'm going to give the Falcons just the edge.
This was kind of a tough game to pick, too. I actually went the opposite way. I'm going to say the Bucs starting off the season. The Falcons could start building up momentum, but I think the Bucs, they have the more experienced. Baker Mayfield's a more experienced quarterback than Penix. So I'm going to say the Bucs take this Week 1. But the Falcons could win later down the road.
All right. Bengals at the Browns. Quinn, does the Bengals streak of horrible starts continue?
No, they win. Yay.
Oh, I was back and forth. I was considering going with the upset, but I just think Cleveland's too kind of trash, and Cincy's too good on offense to not outscore them. So unless it's like a crappy rainy day, which I think they lost them a few years ago because it was so poor out. As long as it's a nice day out, their offense should be able to shine. I think Cincy will break that curse. Raiders at the Patriots. Another kind of shrug emoji teams. I mean, the Patriots, a lot of people have high expectations for. I got the Pats taking it. Not by much. Probably another closer game, but I think this young team and this new regime of Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels is back for the 10th time. I think the Patriots will impress.
I'm taking the X super team that was the New England Patriots. Yeah, X Dynasty, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think the Raiders could struggle this week. And I mean, Geno Smith has had no time playing as a Raider during full games. Drake May's had a whole season. And Mike Vrabel is in there now, but I like his coaching. I think he'll have a more seamless transition than the whole Raiders offensive mind. And Pete Carroll and new quarterback, every running back as well. So I'm gonna take the Patriots as well.
Yeah, we'll see if Genty shines. That Pats defense is pretty tough. We'll see. We got the Niners at the Seahawks.
First 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, the classic. This could be another wonky game where I expect the Niners to be playing so much better, but they don't. But I'm still going to go with them to win just because they're the more talented team and Seattle's O-line's a dumpster fire. I mean, San Francisco's has gone through stuff too, but Seattle's is terrible. So I'm going to say San Francisco takes it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm cautious about Sam Darnold in his first start as a Seahawk. So I'm just going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Niners. I feel like this is the kind of game they'd come out and win. Start off like, we're back. Brock Purdy, he's great. He's paid. Yeah, I think the Niners can do this. Could be wonky, though. Could be week 1, Sam Darnold balling out.
Sure.
Who knows?
All right, Titans at the Broncos. Besides the Cardinals-Saints game, this is the easiest to predict. Denver by 1 million. They're definitely gonna shine them real well. A rookie QB against that defense, look out.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think the Broncos are going to do well this week. So, give me the Broncos.
We got 2 pretty good 425 games here. You usually just 1, but we got 2. We got the Texans at the Rams to start. And, Quinn, who do you got for this one? Because this one got it back and forth.
I'm completely biased. Give me the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. I don't know if Micah plays. This will be a good game.
Wrong game. It's
but...
Texans at the Rams. Get it right.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the other one. Well, you have my other pick already. But, yeah, I'm taking the Texans here just because week 1 Stafford. I don't know. I'm a bit happy with the Texans.
I'm also going to go with Houston just because I think their defense is a little bit better right now than the Rams. And again, the injury with Stafford, he might not be 100%. I still think LA will be good, but they usually kind of take a while to be good. I think their Super Bowl team, they didn't start out the best. Last year, they didn't start out that great either. Usually takes them kind of like half a season to get the juices going. And I think Houston will take advantage of that, and their pass rush will be all over Stafford. So I'm going to go with Houston. The big 425 game, the Lions at the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. And Tom Grossi's first game moving to Wisconsin. Micah Parsons potentially playing. This is one of my other bolder picks of the week, and I'm going to say the Packers get the job done and win this game in an upset over Detroit. Even though I have Detroit in the Super Bowl, I think Green Bay edges it because it's in Lambeau. I think they'll have that hot start to the season. I think Golden, that rookie receiver, will shine. It'll be a fun game to watch, but give me the Packers.
Yeah, as I said, I'm going to take the Packers here just out of bias, too, because it's a close, good game. But also the Lions, they're going to have their new coordinators. First week, I don't know how they'll do. But since you mentioned Tom Grossi, he's actually one of the first YouTubers that he's going to stream the Brazil game, the Chiefs-Chargers game, with the actual coverage next to him on YouTube as a partner with YouTube, which is pretty cool. Congrats to him. He's great.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football, one of my favorite games of the year, and a rematch of the divisional round. The Ravens at the Bills. I'm going to go with the Ravens barely edging the Bills, barely getting payback for this year because, like I said, I got high hopes for them. Like I said, it's going to come right down to the wire. But I think the Ravens will edge them out. I think their running game's a little bit better than Buffalo's. Their defense is a little bit better. And I think Mark Andrews will not drop a pass or two this season or this game to screw them over. So give me the Ravens.
I'm going to take the Bills. I've noticed the Bills have been pretty good at getting revenge over playoff games. Like Bills-Chiefs, the Bills have always won the normal in the regular season. The Bills probably should have lost that playoff game last year. I think the Bills come in like, all right, we won because the Ravens dropped the ball. We're going to make a difference here. We're going to go and win this game. They've had a whole offseason to plan. So, plus it's in Buffalo. Buffalo fans, great people from who I've met. Yeah, give me the Buffalo Philly Bills.
Our final game in the why is this the Monday night game? It should have been Texans-Rams in my opinion. That should have been our Monday night game. But no, we got to watch Caleb Williams on primetime again. But I guess there's intrigue there. There is intrigue with McCarthy there, yes. But the Bears on primetime just, no. But Quinn, who's winning this?
I have to take the Bears, honestly. I know the Vikings are a good, solid team, but I don't know what McCarthy is. He could be ass, pardon my language. But, yeah, I trust the Bears a little more. I know Caleb Williams has played the full season last year with his team, with these receivers. I just trust the Bears more in this case because I don't know what the Vikings are going to do. I don't.
Well, I trust McCarthy because I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings because all McCarthy to me has to do is do what he did at Michigan, and that's be a good game manager. He doesn't have to do anything else. That's what Darnold did, and that's what, besides those final 2 games, did very well at. And I think McCarthy is more talented than Darnold is, and he's got plenty of weapons around him at the running backs with Aaron Jones and the receivers, obviously, with Jefferson, who's probably the best in the league. And their defense quietly got a little bit better in the secondary. Bears, I know Ben Johnson hypes people up, but we have to see if those offseason additions with the O-line and just overall their moves they've made are going to be worth it. But it's all up to Caleb. It's all up to how he plays. So I'm going to go with Minnesota to just barely edge him out.
I will say in the note with the Vikings, Aaron Jones is 30 years old. Derrick Henry is 31. So just a note to keep in the back of your head.
Henry's the exception to anything.
Exactly.
That man's a beast.
Jones is
final thing before we end our episode. Yes, Quinn, I'm taking over the hosting duties. It's kind of like a Rich Eisen thing where it's like overreaction Monday, but they always have a bold take for what they think next week's big topic or thing is going to be about. So we're going to do that here. We're going to do that every week and give at the end of each episode of one bold thing that a bunch of people are going to be saying about whatever player or whatever team. So, Quinn, I'm going to start with you. What do you think is going to be the big topic or the big overreaction in the league?
Well, I gave a little sneak peek of something before of the Panthers going 5-0. Since I predicted them, I think they are going to go, we'll say 5-0. But a little bonus one, since that's just kind of a prediction. I'm going to say people are going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers. Is he back to prime Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, that's going to be the big topic. He's back. He's back. He's bad back. Man, like Stephen A. says, is back.
Bad man's back. Yep.
Ooh. Man, this is a little tough. But I think what my bold thing of the week might be is that the Lions are gonna drop off. I think that's what's going to be the big thing. They're going to drop off. They're not going to win the division. Heck, they might not even make the playoffs this year. That's what I think it's going to be. Because if they lose to a division rival, then I think people are going to see that and be like, oh no, the Vikings are good. The whole division might be good. Someone's going to overtake and the Lions are going to fall off. They're not the same team. So that's what I think the bold thing is. Because there's not a lot of other games to me that scream like, oh, here's like a ridiculous overreaction. I mean, maybe Denver's going to the Super Bowl, but like a lot of people like me and you have high expectations. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions have fallen off as my bold prediction. But Quinn, send us home.
All right. Well, one quick note before I forget and before next week. From my records, Dylan and I disagreed on 4 games, which include the Jaguars game, the Jaguars against the Panthers, the Buccaneers against the Falcons, the Vikings against the Bears, and the Ravens against the Bills. So
come back when I get those all right.
Yeah, I think we'll try and keep track of that this season and see what our record is between each other, because that'd be a little fun, friendly competition. But thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next week with reactions to actual football. It'll be great. I hope you all have great things planned, all the greatest food you're going to make for this first week. You all enjoy the Eagles curb stomping the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. And we will see you next week.
Go Steelers!